All right, family. So I did a little breathing and was reflecting on part one, and now I'm pretty much ready to give a little summary of part one to 2025 and through 2027 predictions. So I mean, it's a lot of little minor details that like people need to be aware of to even like have full faith in all the things that I was saying, because a lot of people don't have these details, and so they are pretty much going to be not having the nine facts, the full amount of facts that's necessary for us to see that there's going to be a lot of change, a lot of shifts and the way that the whole game is being played. It'll still be a game to be played, like I said, praises and cheers, praises and cheers, praises and cheers. It'll still be a game to be played. But what we will see, since money and lust of money and lust of power that comes from money and sex that comes from money will be changing. The money system will be changing, which is a currency, which is based in electrical currency, which is based in the ontology, the study of existence currency. You know what I mean? Like the actual holographic light spectrum of electromagnetic frequencies is the base of where money comes from and such. Since that will be changing with more awareness and more neutrinos in the air, getting closer to 2027, where there will be a lot more information. The age of information will be increasing as much as the age of electricity will be increasing, because they're truly one and the same. We will be able to see all the different demonic spells and curses that were placed upon us in the democracy system of the world, ran by the United Nations, that controls all the governments, ran by the Vatican, which controls the United Nations, ran by the Draco reptilian family-based structure that are hired to, harvest the illusion energy of the earth. What you will see is that, it'll be obvious that, the dollar isn't backed by anything. And not even the metals on earth are even backed by anything. Number one, because we don't have the information. Like the resources on earth aren't even backed by anything, because we don't have the information to even barter as much gifts as we can give to each other. We are all in the shadow frequencies of earth. We're in the spirit realm, the shadow frequencies of earth. We're pretty much in our underworld of emotions right now on earth. And we are here to break all the curses, break all the spells. Like Jesus came with a sword. That sword was his tongue. You know what I mean? Like Yeshua, Isa, we came with that sword. That sword is a tongue that, cymatically breaks all the distorted scalar sound wave frequencies that aren't resonating at the heart space energy. It's resonating at the 440 hertz base reality, where everything is crystallized to be very stagnant rather than flowing from a solid liquid to gas to plasma. Praises and cheers, praises and cheers, praises and cheers. We have the ability to be plasmic etheric beings, multidimensional celestial spirits that have the cultivation access within our genetic structure, so that we can access our soul, our oversoul, our avatar soul, the primal light fields and the primal sound fields, so that we can tap into the meta netter, or what God is, the spoken doctor of all doctrines. You know what I mean? Man, it's so great. The meta netter, the mother nature matrices. I need to just go ahead and come out with my doctrine. It's just so much information to give, and I want to be as accurate as I can and as universal as I can, so that the 5-line energy within inside of me and the human design system, is being seen as, the one that really gets you back to the meta netter as much as possible. So, yeah, what I'm saying is that the money system has to be seen as fraud for the last 100 years, more than 100 years actually. more like 400 years. It has been very fraud because all of our gifts inside of this reality, inside of this last cross of planning matrix that we have been in the human design system, has been corrupted into just planning for greed rather than planning to give gifts to one another in the heart space, the fourth dimensional heart space. We have been in a trinity of greed for the last 400 years. So the money system has been flawed for the last 100 years, being based in social security in most places in the world. In the last 400 years, being based in survival tactics in most places in the world, and not based in what we can give to our reflections in the holographic parallel light spectrum. And so as we get closer to man, it's so great, as we get closer and closer to the fourth dimension in the next 1,000-year rapture. And again, like it really is, like every 1,000 years is a sort of a rapture. It's a funny thing, but we will at least be more etheric. The raptures really do come from every 3,000 years, to be honest, family. But we in this rapture, where we'll be moving back into this Atlantean, Lemurian, Hyperborean, Polarian based codex of our root race civilization, to move us into the full source of this Aryan constellation based society as a unit, moving into our type 1 civilization from our 0.28 type civilization that we are now. We would be pretty much moving into a heart-based frequency where we'll be given the gifts of the genetic spectrum. Look up the gene keys, where we have 64 different gifts to give, and that is coming from the awareness of the 64 different shadows. So the next 1,000 years will be, especially the next 400 years, will be the addressing of the 64 different shadows. From the addressing of the 64 different shadows, their repulsive and reactive natures, we will be able to access the gifts and move into the gift plane. That's how we move to the gift plane. So the next 400 years will be based in addressing the shadows. The next 600 years after that will be exactly mastering enough gifts to move into the gift plane, which is the fourth dimensional heart chakra frequency. The shadows are based in money, which is based in the illusion of sex and lust and power that comes from money. And distortion of the DNA that comes from money. And so you really have to just see that the survival texts of money have been very much a reflection of the survival texts of the science of the human body, and the carbon-based strain body that we live in, being educated to be in a scarcity mindset, like that the breath and the air and the sun isn't our source of everything, and that everything that we're doing on this matrix is to literally just get more and more ether that is coming from the sun, so that we can tap more into the celestial stars that are powering the sun, and we can be one with the whole web of consciousness that is coming from the ether blockchain that is coming from the true ethernet, or the sun systems, the system of all the suns powering each other, the force that flows between them all, the neutrino and the subplonks that Nassim Haramein is talking about, and the neutrino world, and the part of Chi, part of Ki, part of Cum that Ashiana Dean talks about, these different micro subatomic structures that are carrying information of crystalline codex, cymatics, so that all of the extraterrestrials, the metaterrestrials, and the ultra-terrestrials can utilize the technologies of. That's the reality that we're living in, family, is that you have been duped. You have been duped into a doomsday. That one day there will be a savior that will just come and just destroy all the governments, but truly the savior is already here. We have to just tap into it with our DNA, and it's through us tapping into our sound right reasoning within our thoughts, our sound right reasoning within our senses, and being able to truly see that the breath has prana in it, and that all atoms are powered, are nuclear atomic powered structures. Like atoms are atomic. They work off of cold fusion, and then they power themselves. They are their own hydroplasmic generator. They're their own Tesla coil. Every single atom is their own Tesla coil. And so, the science of unification has to come out. The science of differentiation that creates coherency so that it is easier to be unified has to come out. And that will just eradicate all of the scarcity money programs. The scarcity money programs that doesn't allow everybody to see that we are a heart-based, green ray force-based reality. We are the reality. We are God. And we have the potential to see everybody as a divine reflection, a parallel universe reflecting our own repulsive and repressive natures to not give gifts to each other. And then eventually in the next 3,000 years, we'll be moving into giving divine gifts to each other, or what are called cities, divine gifts. Minor cities, divine gifts. And that will be when, as a collective, we move all into our oversoul, which will be us tapping into our man, it would be us tapping into our even more etheric, like really moving away from the carbon spectrum and really crystallized gaseous etheric bodies and reality-based ontology. Right now we're in the solid-based ontology, but we can move in the next 1,000 years to our liquid-based ontology, and then 2,000 years after that 1,000 years, we'll be moving into the crystalline gaseous-based ontology. So, yeah, I just wanted to let it be known, if you really study money, y'all, and the doctrines and the spells that were casted along with money, and the demonic curses and forces that are loose in this realm have created the Masonical Lodge to get you away from, the Word of God or the Meta and more into the money-based Kundalini that can only get you to the 3rd chakra. Money can only get you 3 chakras, y'all, if you use it right. If you don't use it right, you're only going to get to the 2nd chakra. If you use it completely wrong, you're going to stay in the 1st chakra with money. Modern day Mooney, it's lunacy, it's Lunarian culture, it's scarcity culture. It's only being able to use the reflected light of the moon, which comes with the zoology based reality where we're all acting like animals, eat animals, act like animals. You know what I mean? We harvest animals. So we are animals that are getting harvested. It's pretty simple the way that the universe always has to reflect the 7 Hermetic principles, the universal laws, or the 13 universal laws. It will always reflect, or the 11 laws of God from the Meta Netter. It will always reflect very keenly and precisely how much in tune with the Tao we are, how much in tune with the Meta Netter we are. The wordless word, the silent sound. The silent sound. The wordless word, the silent sound. How much are we in tune with that reflective based magic that we at one point were completely in? We were in a light code lockdown to a degree, but it was at least a 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional, based reality in Lemurian Atlantean times where we practiced magic non-stop. That's all we did. It was modern day magic non-stop. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna live my reality and then I'm gonna go home and get up into my room and practice my magic. No, every single thing in magic was every single thing in reality non-stop. And so that was our reality. That's what we're moving back into. And we use the solar energy to power that reality. You need more energy to power more magic. They've been using the solar energy to power all their magic to keep you know, like how you use solar energy to, you know, raise crops or herd animals. They've been using that to, you know, herd the consciousness so that they can lose off of it. So, I mean, it has a lot to do with the money system. So, a lot of the money system would change, i.e., you will be getting all your change back over time. Over time, you'll be getting all your change back. The ones that are giving the most gifts will be seen for the ones that are giving the most to the new Earth society. And you know what I mean, like there will be portals and vortexes upon Earth that will be the leading foundations into this new society as the years roll on. After 2027 and 2030, we'll have 2036, 2044, 2052. All these different timelines will be making way for the new structures of society to slowly move more towards people being able to give the gifts. People being able to give the gifts of reality to humanity more and more, and see that this is the baseline structure of the divine blueprint reality of the meta netter. You know, the Christ or the Christ avatar soul wants us to be able to really tap into being able to give gifts. And then once we give the 64 codon based gifts very consistently, then we give the 64 codon based divine gifts very consistently, then we give the major city gifts very frequently, which is all the miracle gifts. It's called the miracle gifts. The miracle gifts are the powers of playing with the light spectrum, playing with the sound spectrum, being able to be two places at once, being able to tap into the different types of Hanuman-based cities or Monkey King-based cities where, you know, it's very magical. It's like, you know, the miracles of Christ, you know, being able to rapidly heal somebody in a second, being able to, you know, create food in a second or whatever, you know, communion in a second, being able to, like, be fully Doctor Strange. These are the miracle-based cities, the miracle-based gifts, you know, that the Christ or the Crest avatar soul in our genetic blueprint, which is the 10th, 11th, and 12th stranded DNA, wants us to get to. You know what I mean? It wants us to get to so that we can pull from the 13th through 48th strand DNA and just like bring all these gifts into manifest form. The way that we see form, the way that we can see form in its plasmic state, and, you know, let that be a reality. But first we have to even get to these next 1,000 years, through these next 1,000 years of these next 1,000 years of being able to just focus on giving the gifts as much as we can to people. The genetic 64 different gifts. So the next 400 years, family, is really just going to be this, like, pretty much we are moving into the apocalypse. The great revealing is the next 400 years. But what we would be revealing is our own genes to each other, our own repressive and reactive nature within our shadow frequencies that are governed by the money of emotions in the next 400 years. So I mean, there's gonna be, you know, a lot of things, but the time is up. You know, it's no longer time to party. The third call is approaching, with 2025 giving us a completion year, 2026 giving us a matrix year, and then 2027 giving us a master year. Yeah, I mean, and each individual can go as high as they want to go. We can tap into our 12 stranded DNA, you know, subtly. It's hard to, like, have it on all times, like, be an overall, you know, oversoul and Christ avatar at all times, but we can definitely tap into our soul because it's literally in our bodies already. So, you know, we do have the ability to, that's like in the Taoist system, like having your yang shin like like busting out at all times. That would be what be having an oversoul at all times, like a seventh, eighth, and ninth strand DNA, like online active all times. That's what it would be like. So we're just trying to get our fourth, fifth, and sixth strand of DNA and fully embody our full body for what it truly is: the heart chakra green ray energy, the throat chakra blue ray energy, the indigo ajna third eye chakra energy. Embody that in the next 3,000 years. And so, the apocalypse is here. This is part of the game, y'all. This is a reflection of the game. And the funny thing is that the more that we tap into those, individually, those higher strands of DNA, the more that we are in a parallel life living that reality with this reality. So it's all good. Like, you don't have to wait, family. You can tap into it by yourself as the collective, wants to wait. But you can have plenty of time to just be by yourself, in the world, and then, be with other beings that are tapping with that as well, so that you can just live in the heart space, live in the throat space, live in the third eye space with other beings in your tribe, and have your family crest, have your family covens that vibrate at the same harmonic octave density universe as you. It's really simple. It's really simple. The Tao, the Meta Netter, is actually very simple. It's all energy based. Energy will create the divinity of the mind, or the divisions of the mind. It's divinity versus division. You know what I mean? So you could tap in. There's plenty of texts on Earth that have been guided and created as we were in those higher stranded DNAs as different civilizations, so that it was easier to speak on the poetry of just how to tap back into it. The Mahabharata is one of the texts that it shows about the UFOs. The Meta Netter is one of the texts that shows about the UFOs. You know what I mean? Like, they have shown the technology that we are a part of. The Galactic Confederation that we are a part of, the interstellar councils that we are a part of. So I'm gonna let this be number 2. Prayers and cheers, family. We're gonna do a longer video answering all the questions that are gonna be coming from all the people, and I might just have to promote these videos a lot. These 2 videos, I might just have to really promote these 2 videos a lot, so that people can truly get a grasp on where we are at. We have to get a grasp upon where we are at. We have to get a grasp upon where we are at. Praises and cheers to the grounded nature. Praises and cheers to the grounded nature. Praises and cheers to the grounded nature. Let us go ahead and get a grasp upon where we are at as much as possible. Ground the chi back into the body. I know it wants to float up into and clog up your 4th, 5th, and 6th strand DNA, but we need to push the emotions back to the sexuality energy, push the ether back down, and let there be that cauldron of divine water inside of our lower dantian, and then have our upper dantian, our middle dantian, having our 4th, 5th, and 6th strand, the DNA, our 4th, 5th, and 6th chakra full of that chi, so that we can see where the emotions are at, have full awareness of our bodies, and really be, grounded into where we are going as far as the mutations in the genetic structure, as we are getting closer and closer to the Rakim, the source dark sun, that the Meta Netter flows its harmonious sound out of. This is the greatest love story ever told, the greatest love game ever played, the greatest love song ever sung. You know what I mean? This is the greatest universal movie to be watched, as our witness consciousness, our oversoul, and avatar soul can truly watch. Our caressed avatar soul can fully watch the movie for what it truly is when we tap into it more and more. Tap into the miracle cities for what they could be. It's all up in the Masters of the Far East books. So, and then all the minor cities, the gifts and the shadow frequencies are all up in the Gene Key books. The uniqueness of your unique vessel, so that you can enough uniqueness so that you can raise by yourself into the upper strand of DNAs by yourself, and then you can eventually do it with the penta, is all up in the human design books. 12 strand of DNA science, Egyptian Atlantis Kemetic science, 64 codon gene key science, human design 9 center science. You know what I mean? Enealogy, the study of the 9 numbers science. You know what I mean? Taoist inner Buddhahood science, the science of making contact with your Yang Shin, birthing your Yang Shin, maturing your Yang Shin science. It's very simple. It's all the same thing too. It's very simple. So we need to ground all that in, family. We need to ground all that in as much as possible. So I do probably just need to promote these 2 videos as much as possible. And, cheers and praises, that we get to be able to do that as much as possible. Ground it in, ground it in, ground it in. That's all I'm looking to do right now, is just ground it in for this year, for the rest of this year, for the rest of next year, until 2027. Really ground it in. Ground it in, ground it in, ground it in, because 2030, where the change is going to be, and it's going to, flip the world upside down. Not in a bad way, it's just going to be a pole shift. It's going to be like, okay, now we see it all. We've been seeing it all. Now we kind of see it all. There's so much information. And it's obvious that this is a hologram. It's very obvious that this is a hologram that, we are projecting from our upper crystals of consciousness into this one. So it's going to be more and more obvious. They're coming out with the VR sets that people are getting distracted with, but a lot of people do already have enough neuromelanin, neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, bioregenesis to actually see that this is an actual technology that is reflecting the human metanetter-based, God-based, Tao-based technology that we're already working with. So yeah, praises and cheers. We're going to promote these videos and let this ride out. Praises and cheers, praises and cheers, praises and cheers.